Hello, hello everyone. Welcome. Lovely to see all of you here. Dan, Rahul, really nice to see Sharish. Thank you for joining us to this session of how do privacy laws affect us and how do we comply with the various privacy laws and privacy ecosystems with Shivangi Nadkarni. So very excited to be here. While we are waiting for everyone to join, would like to all of you to just let us know where are you joining from and or where are you located, and hope we'll see your location in the map. Would love to know where you're from. Would love to know where you are located in this beautiful map which we have here. I see there are, wow, there's Shillong, my hometown. Dan, nice to see you. Sudipta from Mumbai. Lux from New York. We like to see more people. Oh, we have two in the New York area. We have Rahul. Let's see what's there from Asia. In India, we have Sharish. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Really nice to see you. Would like to start this now. I think we have, are we waiting for more people? I think it's okay. Let's move on to the next one. Oh, we have someone, Theo from South Africa. Welcome. And lovely to see all of you. Before we continue, would really like to know in one or two words, how would you describe what do you do, so that we get to know and the others in the group also get to know who are you and what do you do. So if you could just put in, just in one or two words, what do you do? Tech entrepreneur, founder, technology. Do we have more? Investor, welcome. Investors are always welcome. Photographer, of course. Lovely, lovely to have the width and the breadth of people's experiences here. It's going to be interesting, Shivangi, I think, with the profile of people here. And we hope that this session will help all of us figure out. As a risk auditor, welcome. Indian Naval, that is very interesting. And the privacy laws, how it will affect you. So let's have a look at that. Okay, great. Let's move on to the next one. We just have a couple more questions just to understand, and help us understand who you are, and hopefully, to help us all others also understand who you are and where we are. Could you just let us also know what are you looking for and what you hope to learn in the session? I would love to see this because we have such a diverse group. So what is it that you are looking for in the session today? Is it Shivangi, and her expertise? Is it about India's privacy laws? Is it about your journey in complying with privacy laws? Or you're just curious, or you want to know more details? Just let us know what you hope to learn in today's session. That'll be great. Anyone? I see people are, oh, wow. Okay, great. Yes, lots of questions from enterprise clients. I agree with that. And there are so many privacy laws, international and national. Indian privacy law and relevance to banking. Shivangi, you'd love to look at that. Very interesting. CPG is a very, very important area where privacy laws is very, very impactful. This is just from my little knowledge of understanding, but Shivangi will have a go at that. one button to press to become compliant. How we'd love to have that, right? Um, yes, India versus EU, GDPR and POPIA. Is GDPR really necessary? Very, very good questions. GDPR laws and the impact. These are questions which we at Stream Alive, we're trying to address right from our clients' requirements to our partner requirements. And also because we have clients all over the world, in Europe and in India and in Asia and in the US. And so we're trying to figure out, and this is our journey. And in this process, we thought that it'll be great because Shivangi and Arka, who she co-founded Arka, help us through this journey. And we're still in the process, but we thought it'll be great that everyone also gets to see that. Okay, let's move on to this is one final question, just to get a sense of what do you think about the compliance with privacy laws is. Is it, in your opinion, is it only just doing documentation or press a button like someone said, or is it a process only for CISO? Really nice. Wow, we have a very well-informed crowd, I think we have here. Yes, it does impact all parts of the organization. Yes, it is company-wide processes in my limited understanding of this, and I'm sure Shivangi will elaborate further. Very interesting, not necessary, 70%. Thank you for that. So now that we finished this, very good to see that it is number 4. Thank you for that. Before I move on to the next slide, let me first introduce you to my best friend, Shivangi Nadkarni. She and I have known each other since many, many moons ago. We were together at IMC. So Shivangi has had 25 years of experience in the domain of data privacy and information security. She has also authored the first book on data privacy for NASSCOM's program. Very proud of her. She's also served on the Asia Advisory Board of the International Association of Privacy Professionals. And she is currently on the Women Leading Privacy Advisory Board. So she is, like someone said, she's a data privacy warrior. She got an award for that, and very proud of her about that. She is a postgraduate from IMCAL. That's where I met her first. And she is also a graduate in electrical and electronics engineering from BITS Pilani. She has had many certifications over the years. Name it: CISA, CISSP, CIDPT, DCPP, CDPSA. Anything with a C and a P and an I and S is all. She has all the certifications. So over 10 years ago, Shivangi, along with Samir Anya, the late Samir Anya, they co-founded ARCA, which helps empower organizations to implement and manage their data privacy programs. So for my dear friend Shivangi, who knows us so well and can tell many stories about us, I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful that today is about data privacy, so you can't tell any of the stories. Shivangi, I hand it over to you. Welcome, and take it over from here.
Thank you so much, Tina, and such a pleasure to be here. And also, I've been hearing a lot about the Stream Alive platform. We were a part of helping them get their basic privacy compliance in place, but the first time I'm seeing it in action, and it's super exciting. So with that, let me just quickly share my screen so we can jump into this straight away, right? So can you see my screen? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I think one of the things most companies sort of come into wanting to implement a particular law, and then they realize that hey, we have exposure to so many more. Many more are, of course, now a lot more ahead of their times, and then they say that, hey, we have so many laws that we need to comply with. We have a presence in so many countries, and we are growing, etc., etc. Right? So this is something that we commonly encounter, and in fact, we've been sort of operating in India for the last almost a decade, where India didn't have a law, but we were helping Indian organizations comply with a plethora of laws outside. Incidentally, the Indian privacy law is the 138th law in the world, by the way. We're the 138th country in the world to get a privacy law. So, although, GDPR and CCPA gets a lot of spotlight, you have so many countries with privacy laws. Okay. So, so let's do a quick refresh so that we are all on the same page when it comes to really understanding what data privacy is about, right? Because sometimes people have different views of what really privacy is about. So the first thing about to know about privacy is that at the heart of it you have only personal data, okay, and which is sometimes referred to as personal information, PI, or personally identifiable information like PII, etc. Why is it important to remember this? Because when we wear our organizational hats, which is what we're wearing here, we have a lot of data which is super critical for the organization, but is not personal data, financial data, data about inventory, manufacturing, so on and so forth. But it is very critical, but not personal data, and therefore does not come under the purview of a privacy law. Okay. So if personal data is at the heart of privacy, it's important to pause and think about what really constitutes personal data. So we kind of segregate it into what we call above the surface and below the surface. Above the surface is something that you and I intuitively know is personal data, right? Identity, financial, health, biometrics, so on and so forth. But the definition of personal data globally today has moved and widened quite a bit to include a host of what we call below the surface, data that comes via permissions on our mobile apps, via cookies and trackers, sensors, RFID tags, smart devices all around us, something that comes out of analytics or big data result of that, from smart vehicles, by the way. So what have you, so you have to realize that when you talk about, look at your organization, don't just look at what is obvious, but understand that you have to look at personal data which is far beyond what is visible to you, right? So if this is personal data, what is data privacy? Right? So let's say that as an individual, I'm interacting with an organization. Say it's a bank. I'm deliberately not taking social media as an example here. Okay. So in return, we are expected to enjoy certain privileges. Many of them are specific to data privacy. So, for example, is the personal data being collected more than what is required for whatever product or service I'm subscribing to? Is it being shared with a third party without my knowledge? Is it being used only for those purposes that I have consented to or beyond? Is it being stored after its usage is over? Am I being profiled and tracked? And are you keeping it securely? The last part is important because that is often what is actually data security, and people tend to loosely use the terms data security and privacy interchangeably, but it's important to understand that security of data is one aspect of privacy. So privacy is all this and much more. Okay. So all of these are nothing but what we call principles, and these are all codified into all the data privacy laws as either as principles. For example, every law around the world without exception has principles like get the user's consent for each of the purposes you're processing her data for. There are other bases, but consent tends to be at the top of everybody's mind. Collect only what is required for those purposes, use data only for those purposes, implement security safeguards, be transparent, accountable. So all of this is what laws codify, right? And second, many laws have what is called user rights, right? So some of these you may have heard of: right to erasure, right to access, right to data portability. If you're in California, you've heard of what is called right to non-discriminatory treatment, that I will get equal service for equal price and will not be discriminated against because I don't want you to sell my data, and so on and so forth, right? And the third thing, from an organization's perspective of what is codified into a law, is you have a set of organizational obligations, and these vary from law to law, like user rights vary from law to law. So you have, governments, I mean, laws telling you that you need to provide a privacy notice, appoint a DPO, maintain, if you're exposed to GDPR, maintain something called ROPA, or adhere to certain cross-border data flow instruments, notify breaches, conduct audits, so on and so forth, right? So these tend to vary, but if you look at it broadly, you have these three buckets which you need to watch out for in any law that you are exposed to, right? So therefore, if you're implementing privacy compliance in an organization, what are some of the things that you need to look at? But I think, hey, we can pause a little bit before this, and I think, Tina, you have something to run, right?
Yeah, thank yeah, let's do this. Since Shivangi has given us those beautiful um, information about data privacy, just a quick survey to see what all of us are doing and what we understand of below the surface data. I think that's something which a lot of organizations struggle with. So just wanted to see what all of you think about what is your below the surface data. Let
Nothing.
me type mine.
Guesswork. Interesting. Yeah. Voice and facial data. Yes. Biometrics.
First.
Website visitation. True.
Data.
Can be anything, depends on the devices and services used. True, true. Absolutely.
Cool. Thank you for that. I mean, that really helps us understand. So this is all the information we have. So thank you for sharing all that. Shivangi, I will allow you now to, I just wanted to see what everyone here in this audience says about below the surface data. So now we have a very good idea. It's interesting. Yeah.
Okay, great. Let me go back to my presentation. Okay, so now let's see, how do you implement privacy compliance or a privacy program in an organization? Okay, so a few things that endlessly and, in my opinion, unnecessarily get debated, and right now there's a cacophony around me in India around this, is the whole security versus privacy debate. Okay, so while we'll not worry about the philosophical part of it, conceptually, security, as we just saw, is one key principle of privacy, which is that you need to keep your data, personal data, secure. As an organization, you owe it to your the individuals whose data you have to keep it secure. However, when you implement a program in an organization, a different set of challenges crop up. Okay, so typically, if you see, personal data in an organization is a subset of all the data, right? So if you're, let's say, a healthcare provider or a financial services company, or you are, you tend to have the subset of personal data is very large. In a manufacturing setup, it may be smaller, right? And however, when you run a security program, first of all, it's much more mature because you've probably been doing security for a long time in your organization, and it is meant to cover all data in an organization, right? And these controls may have been deployed, or you may be in the process of deploying controls to manage security of all the data. However, as we saw privacy laws being specific to personal data, the privacy program, which is implementing all that other stuff other than security of personal data, is specific only to personal data in an organization, right? So, how do you balance the two? Another perspective you look at is from a risks perspective. So traditionally, infosec programs are built to solve for three problem statements, as we call it. How do you manage risk to confidentiality of data? How do you manage the risk to integrity of data, which is that ensure it's not tampered with? And how do you ensure availability, right? Which is that data is available when it's required. However, InfoSec programs are not designed to solve for inappropriate collection, inappropriate usage, sharing of data when it's not supposed to be shared, how it gets transferred across locations, etc., which is all those other aspects of privacy specifically for personal data, which is why you need a separate privacy program. Okay. Now, usually, as I said, security programs are already in place in most organizations, while people, if you are starting their privacy journeys, need to start from scratch for privacy programs. Okay. Therefore, if you have to implement any privacy law, whether it's one law or multiple laws, you enhance or look at it in two parts. You enhance or mature your existing security program, and you initiate a privacy program. You continue to keep security of personal data under the existing security program. Don't reinvent the wheel there, right? It's important to remember that you may have the same team, like infosec team, running both programs, or you may have different teams. It doesn't matter. Do not confuse the fact that an individual or a team is running both programs with the fact that you need two programs, whether you're a small organization or a large one. Even Stream Alive, at the size at which they are, we have two separate streams running for them. Okay. Second is the need to have structured frameworks, right? Why do you need structured frameworks in the first place, which are specialized privacy implementation frameworks, right? Today, you may have exposure to one law, regulation, or multiple laws, different mandates, and then over a period of time, these will change. You go on adding more laws, etc. Right? Now, as how do you, and as we saw, these finally boil down to having principles, rights, and obligations, right? So they need to be translated into policies, processes, technology controls, people orientation, training, etc., for which you need to have structured frameworks, right? So in other words, you kind of configure all these onto frameworks so that you have something which is, robust, scalable, it's agnostic to laws in a way of manner of speaking, and there is stability, which means that you can, whether you're complying with one or multiple at the same time, there is a way that you can handle things without having to go back to the drawing board, right? So, if you look at an approach and methodology, and this is something which is we have evolved over the last decade with over working with over 100 plus organizations across sizes. I always say our smallest client is a 5-person company, and our largest client is a 250,000 plus employee company. Okay, some fundamentals don't change, right? So, firstly, as we say, start small. Start with a privacy pilot. If yours is a large or medium enterprise, pick one vertical, business line, process, geography, product, what have you, right? And start with that. If yours is a small company, pick your core business and all the related aspects to it, right? Adopt an approach where you do a foundation, where you understand the key attributes of your organization's personal data, understand the underlying security profile. Then you design the key program elements, like what are your policies, processes, controls that you need to implement. Then you start implementing the program across, whatever is the scope of your pilot first, learn from it, and then you start deploying it across various streams and entities across your organization. And then you get into manage, sustain, training and awareness, of course, cuts across all stages, right? So, if you were to deep dive into understanding what really is a foundation, build what we call a personal data attribute map or PDAM. Okay, what does that mean? You first understand what personal data is being processed by that particular team or division or business unit. What are the various channels of collection? Intuitively, when you ask people where do you collect your data, it becomes, oh, I collect this from the end user, right? So sure, it is provided by the user. User may use forms, user may use your app or a website or so on to collect data. Second, there's a whole host of data that comes to you, to your organization by observation. So it can be by physical observation where you have CCTV cameras or sensors and so on. Or it could be online, which is via cookies, trackers, permissions on apps, and so on, right? Third thing is there's an amazing amount of personal data that is generated by organizations. All these logs, records, user statements, your periodic, let's say, bank statements, your health records that get when you do some tests, so on and so forth, right? That's generated by your organization. The fourth category dam basically, right? Educate data subjects about personal data. Yes, mobile penetration is huge in our country, true. Educating people is huge, but because it is hard to do it at the consumer level, which is why, the all governments around the world, we are no different in India, work on organizations because they're the custodians of data, right? um, Interesting question. What happens to personal data that has already been breached? Most of us have disclosed most information. True, but remember, even now, as we speak, we're generating personal data about ourselves. So what has happened has happened, but what is going to happen, the amount of data, and a lot of you come from that space, you know that the amount of data that's being generated is hundreds of times more than what has been generated till now. Okay, so focus on that.
Ma'am, if I can, button, because you have just addressed my question. I'm Cherish. Basically, I'm a naval officer, so I always look at the anything from the risk point of view. So managing the risk is something very important. Both the questions are pertinent and quite relevant. Let's take our country. Penetration of mobile is huge. Most important, we ourselves, if you navigate all the personal data tenets, whether it is location, whether it is mobile number, I don't think there is anything which is left other than telling how much is there in my bank account, which the bank obviously safeguards my money. But most important thing is my data per se as an individual has already been revealed, disclosed, and at best what I can today now do is perhaps update it. If I change my location, maybe the address gets changed. But if somebody who's really keen about tagging me, he's got everything. So what is it that if you can just explain two lines, two examples of new information that still I can safeguard? Because I as a subject, whether it is Bajaj, somebody is pointed out about Bajaj Finance, obviously everything is known to people. So can you explain on that part?
Yeah. So what you're talking about is static information, right? Which is known to people, but it is known till date. So let's take, I won't even go into what, the world of below the surface, because that's our digital footprint that is growing and changing by the minute. But let's take something which is much more tangible, right? You go to a doctor, let's say you go for a health checkup every year, right? You're generating new data about yourself. Do you want to continue having that data being available with everybody else? You're doing financial transactions, right? Your bank statement is being generated every month. That is also equally critical personal data. If you come from the point of view that, oh, it's already there, then what happens about all this data that's you're continuing to generate, right? So it is not just about what intuitively comes to your mind, which is about social media and people tagging you. Believe me, what is there out in social media is probably just 1% of your personal data. There's so much more that's lying with, let's say, the government. There's so much that's lying with the grocery store down the road about you, right? They know exactly what you're going to buy at every point in time. So first of all, it takes a while for us to wrap our heads around what really is personal data. Okay, yes, your address, your mobile number, your bank account number, all of that is personal data, but personal data is a lot more. Why do you think for a minute, why is WhatsApp valued so much? They don't have access to your content, right? But what they have access to is, let's say, if I message Tina once a week, whereas I message, somebody else twice a day, vis-a-vis somebody I message once a year, huge difference. They are tracking it. That metadata is what is your footprint, which is of tremendous value to everybody. Please understand, nobody is interested in the content unless you are a risk to the country or some other factor. Most of them are just interested in us as citizens and what we do every minute of the day, right? And that is a continuously evolving footprint.
One question.
Thank you.
Guys, sorry, I just have to step in a little bit.
Sure.
We just have one more thing. I mean, a couple of things to do. We will get into the quick questions in a moment. But since Shivangi has given such a beautiful response to your deep questions, she will be able to do more for one lucky winner who we have today. Whoever is going to split this wheel, and then whoever wins this will get 20 minutes with Shivangi, the 20 to 30 minutes with Shivangi for a deeper consultation. So without further ado, let me start this and see who is going to win the time with Shivangi for 30 minutes. And oh, so sorry.
I think you should do it again.
Okay, let me run it again. Okay. I know, I'm so sorry. I promise you I did not do anything to make myself part of this, but I will give me
Tina, you can just
second.
edit the site to remove
I
your
did.
name from there if you like.
I just did that.
It's not rigged, but
This is like kind of a little bit.
is it?
Cherish, congratulations. You're the winner of this thing, and you get a time to spend more time with Shivangi, and you can have all your questions, so to have a chat with her.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, ma'am. So
Welcome.
kind.
I'll just send me your email to hi@streamalive.com, and I'll set it up for you. Let us get to the questions here. I think we had a lot of questions which came up in the chat, Shivangi. So if you would like to address some of these questions, and then we can go to Dan, who has more questions after that.
Sure. So yeah, recording will be available. I guess I'm answering on your behalf, Tina.
Yes.
They're really necessary for them, for Europe, for whom it is necessary. It's just that there's a problem when everybody else starts expecting GDPR, to be done for their country, right? Where does privacy lie? Interesting question. In a legal infosec separate, there's no right or wrong answer. It can sit anywhere as long as there's an owner to it and there's representative from everywhere else. Okay. People are worried about privacy. Why share it? Meaning, why share data in the first place? Is that the question, Dan?
I think so.
Okay, just
Yeah, that's
remember.
correct.
Okay, but there are many times where you have no control over what gets shared about you. So you need to work on organizations so that they start acting. Yeah,
How much data can we share? Okay. Specifically when it comes to personal data, just the name, location, maybe birth of date, phone number. What else?
Yeah, that's what you will actually share, right? But what gets extracted about you below the surface is huge. For example, in this interaction, Zoom is collecting, we don't know what all information about you. And you
And
have
what they
no
do?
control over it.
What will they do about it?
So that's what they form footprints. It's sold. There's a huge ad tech industry at the back end worth about $300 billion. There is a concept called real time bidding or RTB, which is when if you go search for, let's say, a book, and next time you start seeing ads all over the place about it because they have bid for your information. So ads is just one thing, but I think we can go on and on. But one of the things is that today one of the concerns is that it completely determines your choices, what you get to see, what you get to hear, and it's what are called chasms in society.
Right. And then, yeah. And also to add to Shivangi's, AI is being trained on all our data. So keep that in mind.
Exactly. As long as I'm not being impacted in any which way, right? I have shared my information. Let them do the business. Let them earn the money. And if I want to see the ads I like, fine. I mean,
so
like,
it's
why
not about. So the ads are the smallest problem.
then what's the
Right?
big problem?
The big problem is that tomorrow you'll stop seeing, you go to, let's say, for example, you go somewhere and you're given a pricing which is very different from what Tina has given because, your profile is something which over a period of time they've determined you can pay 3x of what Tina can pay. Would you still like it?
No, I'll not buy it. That's okay.
You'll not
That's not a
even
problem.
know that you're paying 3x of Tina's.
Yeah, but it's not a big problem.
So fine. So then in your case, it's not a risk. So risk is a very individual perspective, right? So you
Yeah,
may
but
not
then
think it's a big deal. Somebody else may think it's a big deal, right? So
okay.
I may, for example, consent to get all the mailers in the world. Okay,
Mhm.
but Tina may say that I don't want to get any mailers. The point is today none of us have a choice. It is about giving choice,
Yeah.
and it is about
Yeah.
letting individuals determine their own risk profile, not somebody else determining it for them.
Shivangi, we have the other question about agencies.
What is the exposure of agencies that help enterprises to implement their software strategies? Are they only exposed to the peer? So agencies actually are what are called processors. They are supposed to work only with do only what their client expects them to do. In reality, many of them do whatever they feel like with their data, and the liability is usually on the enterprise, the client. So it's your that's why I said third party risk. You have to be able to manage and control what your vendors do with your data that's lying with them, right? I hope that answers your questions. Are you mostly India focused in terms of client? No, we work with clients everywhere, though we are based out of India. Has India relaxed cross-border transfer? Yeah, it's very simple now. They're going to list a set of blacklist some countries. Other than that, you can transfer data anywhere. Have we covered all?
I'll answer this. I'm so sorry, Venkat. There are no runner-up this session. Next time when we have, let's hope you'll be the lucky winner then. Yeah. Thank you, Venkat. Yeah, I think those are all the questions. These are all the questions which came up in the chat while you were going through your slides and all that. So it's lovely to see this. I think Theo just raised his hand. Might have a question, Theo?
No, not a question, but just a slight story as to why this is so important. Yes, just you, Udan, you may have absolutely no problem with getting all of your personal data out there and whatnot. I used to work with the UN, and only once, some of my personal data leaked, which allowed people to open enterprises in my name all around the world.
Right.
Negatively affected my personal and professional cash flow because I was investing in enterprises as well, which led to one of my enterprises being cloned, literally just wholesale cloned, same website, same everything, out of Dubai, getting us fined 1.5 million euro by the EU because a client interacted with the company that spoofed that entity, where they then promised the entity investment for $100,000 fee. And all of that had to come out of my own pocket. So 1.5 million euro, I'm still paying it off. It's 8 years later.
God.
So from one breach of my personal data, they managed to clone one enterprise, set up 9 enterprises, cost probably 3 years of my life trying to hunt all of them down and whatnot, get random calls on mobile numbers, because you can change your mobile number, it can still link you to that new mobile number again. Regarding enterprises that you know nothing about, people poo-poo this thing. It is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then
So yeah.
my question is, was this your company that was breached?
No, this wasn't even my company that was breached. This was a service provider to the UN that was breached. And
So then why you affected?
because my data got leaked.
Okay,
My
then
personal data got leaked.
did you sue that company then? Oh no.
We sued them. They closed down, so they declared bankruptcy. So they didn't get left with the problem.
Okay.
That's the other thing that you have to take into account. When a broker gets sued and they close down, that
Mhm.
doesn't solve a downstream problem.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, thank you. That was
Yeah,
good.
thank you for sharing. That must have been crazy. Like we've heard of stories here in the US where, you know, there's a personal data breach and cloning of identity, and where people open up bank accounts in the name of someone else and take a credit loan, and those kind of issues are there also. So yeah, there are financial impacts to leakage of data. Thank you for sharing that with us, Theo. I think we are reaching the end of a session, and we'll just do one more thing, and just to tell Shivangi thank you so much and for the lovely session. And if all of you could just drop an emoji of what you think of the session, show your emojis, your emoji face. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Would love to see. Um, and really, Venkat also just left, and he said it really happy, and he had to leave, but he had given a lovely emoji. Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. And Shivangi, I hope we'll do this again with a better preparation next time. I think this time I was a little bit underprepared.
Not at all. Thank you
And
so much for inviting me once again, Tina and Lux.
always a pleasure to have you. And thank you everyone for joining us. It was, yes, Theo, thank you. It was really nice. I'm sorry, I just stopped that. And hope to see you again in the next session. And maybe we'll take it in a different track the next time. Maybe we might go a little bit more deep, or just take one section of this huge framework of complying with privacy laws, or maybe just do GDPR or just do DRDA. I don't know. We'll think about it. Maybe we'll do it again. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Sivya. Sai.
you.
Thank you, Sharish. Veal. Thank you,
Bye,
Lux.
guys.
Thank
Thank you,
Anne.
ma'am. Thank you. It's been
Thank you,
wonderful.
Akil. You're welcome. Thank you.